Welcome to another Booth Warmers episode. My name is Kevin,
My name is Jay.
and here we are warming the booth for you guys tonight, like always, every week. So every 2 weeks sometimes. So today, well, I wanted to say today. It might have been yesterday or 2 days ago. Was the 1 year anniversary of Mr. Rudy Gobert touching mics, a historical moment in history. A very historical moment to the point where when we hear about like when they're going to start like showing COVID documentaries documenting what had happened, Rudy Gobert is going to be part of history. Like
Yeah,
he's going to be in all those documentaries, and he might be a part of history books. Like it's wild. You'll just see Rudy Gobert just like touching different shit.
yeah. You
Or
should reenact his movements for our
I
YouTube
know,
viewers.
and I had a mic right here. So imagine there's 10 of these things right here, and he's just going like but imagine there's 10 of them. So,
Yeah.
YouTube viewers, you saw me play imaginary drums right now for a few seconds. But let me ask this question first. What was like your reaction to when that had all happened?
Well, in the beginning, I'm sure like we all heard like the rumblings of like, oh, what's gonna happen? What is anything gonna happen? Not in sports in general, but just everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I heard the news, I think I was surprised that they actually shut it down like right there and then, just because it was like sudden. And it wasn't like, oh yeah, next week we'll stop. It's more like we're gonna stop now and then we'll figure it out later on. And then I remember just talking to like my coworkers because when I found out I was still at work, I was like, oh, they shut down the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They really did it. Like there's really not gonna be any sports. I mean, after that, like the other sports followed suit. So it was just a shock that I think that's what made me feel like it was real, that it
Mm-hmm.
was gonna happen everywhere else. What do you remember about that day or time frame?
So, adding to like some background to that whole situation, I was like a COVID truther like a month before it had started
Mm.
because well, I shouldn't be saying this, but I was always on Reddit on work at work, and like I was watching it unfold because like I guess it was like a top discussion on Reddit, and there was like people saying like, "Hey, this actually might be serious." So when it all started like unraveling, where I think the first like domino was that there was like a cruise ship that had like a lot of Americans that had
Mm.
got left, I think, in Washington, up north, and that started unraveling. I was like, okay, it's actually happening soon. And then Tom Hanks, I think, had got COVID
Yeah, but he
first.
was he was already in Australia.
Yeah, and then I think the next day is when it all got canceled. And
Yeah.
literally, I remember listening to the radio because I got off of work and all the games were starting like at 4:30 or 5, and you can just hear like everything just like unravel and all
Mm.
that, and like every game getting canceled. So once that all happened, I was just like, damn. Like I thought it was only gonna be like 30 days, but at first I thought it was gonna be 30 days, and then I think after like a week or two, once everything started getting more serious, it's like, yeah, this actually might be a long time. And after like
Yeah.
researching COVID and knowing about it for a whole month and saying like, oh, we are like, there was reports like saying on Reddit like we're not prepared. It's simple as that. So just brace yourself. It might be bad. We don't know. Just be prepared. So I kind of like just knew that, oh, this isn't gonna be good. So that was pretty much it. I was pissed at Rudy Gobert, but I was like, even if he didn't do that, we
It,
still would have had the NBA canceled,
yeah, it
right?
would have
Like
been somebody else. Like
it
it
would
was
it would have still
just
got canceled. Yeah.
yeah, it's just the way that he acted about it, just like portrayed like what actually people knew or what people thought of it at that time, especially like you said, like in Reddit, it's not like that's what everybody knows around us, like what we see on TV, what we hear. I think a lot of people back then thought that it's just gonna pass over, and that's probably why it was seen as not serious by, I guess, the majority of the public at that time. But then when everything started shutting down, sports went first, and then everything else at least for us here in like LA, like everything just shut down
Yeah,
and we just didn't know what to do.
yeah. I also remember how the last game the Lakers had played, they played against the Nets, and I think a week or two afterwards, they said like, oh, a few Laker players had tested positive, and Nets players
Hmm.
tested positive, and I remember being like so worried, like, holy shit, could like somebody actually might die on the Lakers? Like, sorry, like
Yeah.
knock on wood, because we no one knew what was going on, and I just remember thinking like, holy crap, this is crazy. But then
Yeah.
it never like nothing really like materialized on like the danger aspect of it. But other than that, I just remember how long it was without sports. Like
Hmm.
just being on like, and I always watch like Sports Center and all that, and
Yeah.
like it was so weird. Like we were just like trying to like. I spent like 3 or 4 months just watching like flashbacks or like past memories or like past games. Like it was so weird. Like I just can't remember how like Sports Center like continued. Like I would watch it and I was like, they're just like talking about anything and
Then
everything that isn't like live at the moment.
I
So
I think
weird.
what was worse is the social media of Sports Center. Like they kept just putting up old stuff that we keep seeing over and over again because
Yeah,
like there's nothing else to put out there. It's
yeah,
like they'll put anything and everything that they can find that's interesting at
yeah,
that's happening.
yeah. It's it's been like a year and it went by so fast too. So it's like kind of crazy that it's been a year, and like it was like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Like there is like different stages of it. Like, are we gonna think the NBA is gonna be canceled? It's like, oh, the NFL shouldn't have a season. It's not looking good. They finish and like now both are like in its second season. So it's like
Yeah.
this is kind of weird, but we're closer to the end than farther. So I guess that's something optimistic to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At least there's available vaccines out there now that's hoping to like help everybody out.
yeah.
So
And I also kind of miss the fans more than I miss my friends. I used to hate fans.
oh my god. Well,
Yeah,
it's okay. I don't know if our friends are listening to
probably
this.
not. Okay, we'll move on to this topic. That's a good way to finish it off. So, major sports news in the basketball world was All Star Weekend, even though it was leading up to like it almost being on the verge of being canceled. No, I don't think it was on the verge of being canceled, but everybody being so pissed off about it that
Hmm.
like nobody was gonna watch it, and what everybody still did was watch it,
Watch
which is
it.
kind of funny. After people complained about it, uh, did you like the All Star game? To me, first off, I liked it like a lot, just because of LeBron's team, but that was about it. What's your justification to the game?
I think I actually liked the format that they did that everything was happening in one day because it made it feel like it was an event, you know, like
Yeah.
an event that you're going to and you're gonna have to enjoy the show for like the whole what 3 4 hours maybe. So
Hmm.
I think that was the only time I actually sat down in front of the TV and just watched and did
Yeah.
like nothing else. So it was fun in that regards. And then the people that were in competing in the contest, like 3 point shootout, skills challenge, dunk contest, like they were still competing like they normally do. It's not like they just went out there and just like did whatever.
Hmm.
So in that sense, I actually liked it.
Yeah. I I like well, I didn't really like how everything was on one day, but it's kind of weird because in the past years, like we get so hyped about Saturdays, like, oh man, we're
Hmm.
gonna watch a 3 point contest and All Star game, and then it ends up being like extremely lackluster.
Yeah.
And at least like if it is lackluster and it's with the All Star game, nobody would like really care about the dunk
Yeah.
contest. But I know like the NBA is trying to profit off of a whole weekend, which
Hmm.
is what they're aiming to do. So it could potentially work, but they're obviously losing more money if they have it all in one day. And I think there's like guys that probably wouldn't want to. I think like the All Star guys like being there, like sitting courtside in like their nice
Hmm.
clothes and watching everything like and all the
True.
celebrities be there. So I think they should just give it to a 3 day thing.
Maybe
At first
two.
I was, yeah, two, because
Two.
well Friday is international rookie versus second year
Yeah.
player, sophomore type thing.
I didn't
So and
miss it
then
though. I don't think I missed that game besides maybe trying to see Zion play. But
yeah, well, last year's was dope because it had Zion, Jaw, Luca, and Trey,
mm-hmm,
like the new
it's pretty
front
good.
runners of the league. So it would have been dope, but it would have been cool. Also cool seeing like Lamelo and Jaw throwing lobs to like Zion. That would have been so
Oh
tight.
yeah,
Yeah, but if you saw like the roster lineup between world team and the USA team, they said that like the USA team would like slaughter them as if it was like the Olympics. Because
yeah.
like I forgot who was on the world team, but I was like their best player was like Rui Hachimura and RJ Barrett. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Maybe
was
they
like,
should go
yeah,
back to the sophomore and rookie thing.
I think so too. But I feel like they try to make it like USA and World for like the ratings, like get people to
Get more
watch it
fans.
internationally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. So maybe yeah, I like the USA versus World one more.
Maybe they should just change it. Depends on the roster.
Yeah, or do like a team captain type of thing.
Yeah,
That'd be dope.
mix it up. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be super dope. But then people are gonna get offended like Donovan Mitchell. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So one of the big problems with like the All Star game, which is funny, like why are we thinking that the All Star game is a problem? I guess because of like it translates to how the NBA is nowadays, but how many threes is too many threes?
Yeah.
And I can't believe it became a debate on Monday morning talk shows, which was funny. So even though I think it's a terrible idea to be talking about this. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it because we need something to talk about. So, is there too many threes going on in not just in the All Star game, but
In
translating
games in
into
general.
in game?
Well, just the way that the game is going now, there's I feel like there's still too many threes, and but not that it's excessive that it's hurting the game. I feel like everyone's depending on the three rather than trying to get the easy layup. Like we've seen it multiple times where a guy would have an open layup that maybe there's a guy coming in for defense last minute, but he will try to push it out for a three, even though he's
Yeah,
already up there in front. So that's the
yeah,
only part that I see as a problem. But I think the quantity of shots that's being taken on average by all the teams, I think it's fine. Besides maybe like if the Rockets team, the old Rockets team that would always go for records, but
mhm.
I think the other teams are good.
Missing 29 out of 30. The
29 was
greatest,
60.
greatest, greatest record of all time.
What's crazy is like they had the record for what most shots
Most,
taken, but they
yeah,
don't have the record for most makes,
they have like
right?
the records for the worst things,
Yeah.
like the worst outcome. It's not even the
Yeah.
best outcome that they get. Um, my opinion on this is that I think change and evolution is always welcome wherever in all aspects of society. And this is just a change that needed to happen, and this is the way it's forming. And maybe 10 years down the line we might go back to taking mid-range and doing layups and dunks, but I think this is an era, and this is an era that's like going to be here for a while. And if you see the way people are influenced to play basketball, all these kids are going to be like this for a while, and there's just nothing you can really do about it. We're just going to be like haters, like we're all, but like kids that are watching nowadays, they see like Steph Curry and are inspired by Damian Lillard. Like there
Mhm.
might be a time where there's a certain age where this is probably happening right now. Where if I were to ask like a 10-year-old kid or a 12-year-old kid, it's like, oh, did you see Kobe Bryant highlights? They'd be like, oh yeah, like the only highlights I seen was when he scored 60 in this last game, right?
Yeah.
So and that era was already like 3-point era, so it's like we're gonna be in this era for a while, and it's like I don't know, like when I was a kid, I used to watch like games that went up to 80, and I used to like be kind of bored too. Like I'm literally seeing these dudes clink it from mid range using the whole shot clock, correct?
Yeah.
And like I love Kobe, and I love like all those like old school Kevin Garnett style and like players and like Tim Duncan. But bro, I would be so bored if I literally had to watch a guy post up another dude for like most of the shot clock, kick it out, and ask for the ball back, and then post up for another 5 or 8 seconds. I would be so bored. But it's also funny because like 3 point shooting, like it's not boring, but it's very repetitive too. But I like how in 3 point, if somebody misses a 3 point, it leads to better transition plays, and sometimes like it leads to really good transition plays. Like you just see how fast paced the NBA is, so that means
Hmm.
there's like bigger moments when everything is like clogged up. You barely see like posters and like crazy passing, and I think that like having the ball spread out more and being more players on the court spread out, it it has more highlights and more action than compared to back in the day.
Yeah, I think that's what made the mid 2000s Suns really fun to watch because they were the only team that would actually like run and gun back then. But
Yeah.
is since we think that this era is gonna stay for a while, what will it take for it to either go back or just have another change? Like let's say Joel Embiid or Jokic just start dominating in the paint, right? Like they would just
Mhm.
post up every single time, no threes for them. Do you think that would change it, or is it also a societal thing where there's not much players out there that are like those type of build, like those two, or even like a Shaq or like a Yao Ming or a Kareem back then, like those types of players? I don't think there's any out there anymore.
I don't think so because like the way kids are, like they're just more faster and longer. Like they're just it feels like they're all genetically modified nowadays. Like you see the guys that were going against Shaq, it's just like these tall dudes that were like couldn't move. Freaking, they had like two left feet, or they just simply couldn't move.
Yeah,
And that, and maybe if Shaq wasn't in the league, it changes the game completely. And I think there has to be some type of force that generates, or a type of force almost unstoppable, an unstoppable force that influences the game. Like look at Shaq, he was unstoppable. So we gotta like invest in centers and big guys to stop him. Like it's Steph Curry, he's
yeah,
unstoppable. We gotta invest in 3 point shooting because the only way to stop a guy from 3 point shooting is just outscoring him. And it's like I don't know if there's like a guy that's like, I don't think Joel Embiid's ever gonna be unstoppable like that, and that's what you're hoping.
yeah.
Jokic is Jokic is unstoppable, but in a passing way. He's not unstoppable in a scoring way. So it's like
I think the only
there's
couple players that probably replicate the dominance that Shaq had is probably Giannis and possibly Zion in the next couple of years. But at the same time, it's still a different type of play that they still play faster. Like it still fits our era now, but it's not like
yeah,
how it was
they
before
do
that
like
everything slows down.
yeah, and like how many kids nowadays are gonna be like, I want to play like Zion or I want to play like Giannis. Like those kids can't genetically be 7 foot and have a 7'5" wingspan, or be 200. I feel so bad for fat shaming Zion. 280 pounds and can leap 45 inches. So
Yeah,
I feel like that's why like kids nowadays are so inspired by like Steph, Dame, or even guys like maybe like Tatum, and at least that's like their realization. Like, well, at least I can kind of be like Tatum
yeah.
or Luca, but then they they spend more time at a fast. They play at a fast pace more than a slow pace. So it's like people start to realize like they realize that, hey, if there's a guy that I can sort of play like, I'll be inspired by him. And I think that this 3 point era might last for maybe might be forever.
Yeah,
No,
they might end up having to add a 4 point line or something.
and that might half court shots are now. We're in an
That's
era where like people are just taking half court shots. Like,
yeah,
let's defense just simply doesn't exist. Let's just chuck
yeah.
shots.
Just a percentage game. Let's just keep shooting shots back and forth and see who
Yeah,
makes the most. But do you think?
yeah,
Oh, going back to that, is there do the teams in your opinion, actually play defense, or is it because it's too fast paced that it doesn't look like they're playing defense?
Well, that's kind of like it's equal, like both, because you can if somebody was like stepping like 3 or 4, like is giving you space to shoot a three and he makes it, you're like, oh, that's bad defense. Or if you don't contest it fully, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's hand down, man down. You're like, oh, that's bad defense. But and if he misses it, you're like, oh, that's still like, he gets like an open shot. So I feel like people get too critical with like defense and like they don't
Hmm.
really see like just adding pressure to a certain player. That's like good defense to me. Like they think that like having to stop or having a hand in somebody's face, like that's good defense. Like I like as much as I'm hyping like Alex Caruso right now, like I think that his defense is good enough, and that's good defense. Just being in front of somebody, switching, communicating, and
Yeah.
I think people just like they just look at defense and just say like, oh, if Steph Curry gets a 3 pointer, it's like, oh, that's not good defense that they played on him. Like it's there's like no
Yeah.
win. There's no win-win situation with how people look in the perspective they look at defensive era. They just think
See,
that like, oh, if they scored 100 points on you, you played bad defense. But it's like, well, they shot 35%, and it's like, well, technically, isn't that good defense?
yeah.
Oh, but they still got 100, and it just people don't look at it that way.
Yeah. But then, like going back to your what you said, like hand down, man down. Sometimes, like even if the defender is actually playing defense and putting their hand up, sometimes the offensive player don't even see that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes the players are just that good that whatever
It
you
doesn't
do,
matter.
it
Yeah, the
doesn't
techniques will
matter.
never. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't even matter anymore.
I kind of have like a uh, going back to the talking with Shane. I have a my opinion on this is like referees. That's like a big part of why people are like the ratings of the NBA is like going down. I don't care
Hmm.
if people say like too many threes. To me, it's the referees. Like when a referee makes like a bad call, I would literally take my eyes off the game and go on Twitter and complain about these stupid referees. Like that's how bad it is. That's all I gotta say. It's the ref's fault to me.
Yeah, be careful. You might
Damn
get
zebras.
fined.
Yeah. Like I don't got the money. I don't got the money, so they're gonna have to put me in jail.
You got no Shaq to back you up on getting
I
fines.
know, for real.
Yeah, but at the same time though, uh, I also think that the referees now are not not to say that they're not lenient, but I feel like they call a lot of fouls in general, or even technical fouls, to like prevent something from happening. You know, like,
Yeah,
oh, I think this guy's gonna blow up. I'm gonna just call it now so he doesn't.
yeah,
Or like we've seen so many like calls like other teams going on fast break, a guy just like puts his hand out just to like like not even play anything, just put his hand out and the foul's called and they didn't even touch the guy.
yeah. I would how I feel like with referees too is that they have like extreme power trip that the like if some they take it personal with like certain players.
Yeah,
And like I was watching Last Chance You on Netflix, and like the beginning of the whole documentary, there was like this one player that's like is like, "Oh, are you blind or whatever?" And like, or like, "Can you like at least make the right call or something?" And they
yeah.
called him travel when it wasn't a travel, like 2 or 3 different occasions, and like he just ended up like, "Well, we can see that these referees have something against you, so we're gonna have to bench you, son." Like telling the guy like, "Get out, we have to take you out of the game because they're obviously taking it personal against you." I was like,
Hmm.
"That's kind of sucks."
Yeah. Okay, so what's worse, like those referees taking it personal like that, or a referee betting on the game?
I'm gonna say taking it personal because the Lakers got a championship off of a referee getting paid. So that's the bias taking me. All right. I need remind me to put that as like a headline on my IG caption for this. That's
Okay,
actually a good
I
quote.
think that was a good question.
But Apologies for the technical difficulties. Jumping back into this NBA talk, we're going to look into first half surprises and disappointments. Jay, I want you to start off with this just because I can't think properly right now. Who do you have as a surprise and disappointment so far?
Surprise for sure is LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets. I didn't think from
Same
the
here.
beginning that LaMelo was gonna fit in that team that well that quickly. And besides him and that team, they're actually playing well together as a group. I mean, we can see it like when they play, they're fun. They're playing as a group. They're moving the ball. They're always, I guess, looking for the better play each time, and they're just fun to watch. I didn't think that they were going to be like that. Scary Terry has been clutch for them at the end of the game, which is also big because that took some takes some pressure off of Gordon Hayward, which is all he is also playing well this year compared to what he did all his years in Boston. So that's my surprising team so far.
Mhm. Disappointment.
Disappointment. Oh, let me look at the because I know I've been disappointed
I,
with
I
the. You got one?
I got one just to give you some time.
All right, go ahead.
So my disappointing team is the Pelicans. I feel like that they shouldn't be their record, their talent with the three or four guys that they have doesn't reflect on their record. I feel like there's times where they're losing by like 30 or 40 points and just like what the or like they're losing big time to like random teams and like it makes you question like are Ingram perfect for Zion and it's like they might have had like the best rebuild or like the best future and assets, but it's like
Hmm.
feels like it's like kind of crumbling on them. But even so, they can still trade these guys for a good asset. But I thought they were going to be in the playoffs. I thought they were convincingly going to be in the playoffs, but they might not make it if they don't take it up another notch. So that's my
Yeah,
disappointing team.
they were also like in that like bubble playoff thing. Like they were fighting for that playoff hunt last year too. So that probably raised the expectations from last year going into this year. And
Mhm.
with Zion coming back healthy and the continuity of the rosters, that's probably why like they raised the expectations basically. But I was just
Yeah,
looking at the roster or the standings this year. I was surprised about how Toronto is lower in the seeding for the East, just because the fact that they had the same roster. Granted, they lost two of their big guys, but Siakam was supposed to be like their guy this year, and add a big guy. And with the same coach, same players, I thought there would be a better, I guess, flowing team. Because
yeah,
usually, like veteran teams like that, they continue to move on and not necessarily improve, but at least stay steady unless there's major moves that happen.
yeah. Wait, so that's what you have as a disappointing team, or
Or
surprise?
just surprised, but my biggest disappointment still so far is the Wizards. I
Ah,
assumed I assumed that they were going to be better. I mean, they are getting better lately, but sometimes it's just so hard to watch them play that you just don't know what they're doing. So they're my
mhm.
biggest disappointment this year.
For me, my biggest surprise is the best team in the state of New York right now, or in that area, and it is not the Brooklyn Nets. It is the New York Knicks as the biggest surprise. And I haven't been watching any New York Knicks highlights other than some Julius Randle stuff. But there's this one clip where I guess before the All Star game ended, they won a game and they were one game above 500, and
Hmm.
then there's like tons of videos of New York fans like celebrating like they won the championship, and I just thought it was like the funniest thing. I was like, imagine if New York Knicks fans were actually like in like if they did win a championship, how crazy they would be. I was like, dude, they just got one game over 500, and it's like they were they were acting like they just won the freaking like they were just like a dynasty team. So that's my biggest surprise. I thought they were going to be fighting for the bottom three,
Yeah.
to be honest. And like, I just didn't think like the way they signed players too. I was just like, why would they sign? this guy or
Another
like
guy, another big guy.
Austin. Yeah, it's like Austin Rivers, and it's like doesn't didn't really make sense. But then like you see Julius Randle elevate his game, and then you also see what's his name, Emmanuel
RJ Barrett.
Quickly.
Oh,
Oh
quickly.
no, Emmanuel
Who?
Quickly. Yeah, just like ball out, even though like he was like a second round or late first, and he's playing better than Obi Toppin. And imagine if Obi Toppin just gets a little bit better. So
Yeah.
it would be dope to see the Knicks make it to the playoffs, even though they're not. I highly doubt it.
You never
That
know.
that might be part of the next segment we're going to be talking about. Do you
Yeah.
want to move on from first half surprise and disappointments, or is there anything you wanted
Well,
to add to it?
I gotta add that I love Emmanuel Quickly's floaters. It
Mm.
reminded me of a lot of basketball I
You.
used to play.
I was telling you about him. Do you remember? I was like, yo, this Emmanuel Quickly guy, this is who the Lakers look. You should draft. And I was like telling
Yeah.
you about it. And I was like, fuck.
And then I saw
We
those
had to get
floaters. I was
Dennis
like,
Schroeder.
had to get. And then I think it also helps for their cases. Julius Randle on his contract year, and
Yeah.
contract year players ball out. So
Yeah, he was
yeah.
hooping when he was on the Pelicans on his
Yep.
contract year. He was hooping when he was on the Lakers on his contract year, and now he's hooping
Yeah.
with the Knicks.
That's, you
Contract
might
year
as well be
changes
on
people.
contract year every year.
Yeah,
Franchise
just do
tag.
the 1+1 every time, or 1+2,
Do
or
the
2+1.
football
Sorry,
do the
franchise
football
tag.
franchise tag. Yeah.
I don't like the franchise tag, but it's actually kind of makes sense. Like you can win, like you can really bet on yourself, and you really can gamble bad on yourself. So
Yeah.
it would be dope on NBA, but I guess like NFL is different because of the way it's played.
Hmm.
But who knows? Maybe NBA will see it and like, oh, this might actually be good to just keep guys on their team more than to try to have them leave. Um, is there anything else you want to talk about with first half surprises and disappointments?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So our next segment, we are gonna go. This also relates to the second half. So what we're looking for in the second half. We're keeping this one short. This one is called "The Crowd Goes Wild" and "The Crowd Goes Mild." And, and this segment is about having a really outrageous take of what you think is going to happen in the second half of the season, and some take that's going to be obviously mild, and you're pretty obvious on it. Jay, do you want to go first on this one, or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Should I go wild or should I go mild?
Go wild.
Okay, go wild. And I we thought of this segment because we thought about our fans so much and how we'd love to see them go wild and mild, but only 10% or arenas with 50% capacity
Let's
can show
see.
who goes wild and who goes mild. But my wild take is that the New York Knicks will make the playoffs.
Wow.
I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna. Even though they got destroyed today, I think the East is just too inconsistent. And with this whole play-in, if they can just get in a play-in, I think that they're gonna ride with their confidence. Like, oh shit, we got in the play-in, and that will get them there. It would be fun seeing them get in the 8 seed, and it would be delightful to see them get destroyed by the Nets. Sadly, but I
Oof.
still think that's a pretty wild take for them to get in the playoffs.
Very, very wild.
Every team is just too inconsistent, and it's like you can't. They're on the Nets. Is like you can. I mean, on the East, you really can only say like the Nets are consistently good, and now the Bucks are turning it around, and the Heat and everybody, and probably the Raptors and everybody else is just like blah.
Yeah.
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 Should I go with a mild take?
If you, yeah, go ahead. Finish it off.
I think this is going to be really mild, and it's going to be really sad for me to say, but I think the Nets are going to win the championship
Oh, how is that mild?
because it's pretty obvious that they're going to win. I don't know if it's just you. It looks pretty damn obvious. I hate to go against my Lakers like this. It's funny because last year I went against them too, picking the Bucks and the Clippers to get in the finals, and look what happened. None of them
Well,
made
maybe
it.
you're doing that on purpose now.
Yep. What's that one? That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
But let's
Yeah.
hear your takes on this.
Wild take. Um, sorry, Ralph, but I don't think the Warriors are gonna make the playoffs. I
He's
think
not coming back on this podcast if you say that now.
just cut it off. But I think I don't know. It's just they have their moments where they look good together, but they just had a bad loss today. Granted, they were playing a good team,
Hmm.
but I sometimes they're just too inconsistent. And then I don't know what's going on if they're still trying to move players at this point in the year. Like we don't know honestly if Kelly Oubre or Andrew Wiggins will even finish the season with them. So I feel like there's some uncertainty there that might hurt their playoff push, especially now after the All Star break, the second half of the season. So that's my wild take. I don't think they'll make the playoffs just because San Antonio's been playing well. Um, Dallas is also in that 7, 8, 9, 10 spot, and Memphis is surprisingly still up there in the standings. So they're a good young team when Jaren Jackson coming
Yeah,
back
he's not
sometime in
even
the next
playing.
couple
It's
weeks.
crazy.
Yep, yep. So it's gonna be tough to get into those last couple seeds. So that's my wild
What,
take.
what's your mild take?
My wild take is that Brooklyn will go to the championship.
Let's go. That's God damn it. But you
I
don't have
said
them
go to
winning?
the champion. I don't know yet.
Just say
I
it,
got
bro. We gotta.
I gotta see when AD comes back and have what our team will look like by the deadline. Then I'll
Yeah.
come back to you. I still have a little faith, but I'm also a little bit skeptical just
I'm
because
getting
of
nervous.
uh, that lineup. I think I already mentioned this before. Like that lineup is like an all-star, all NBA team if they were all close to their primes.
Hmm.
That will be crazy to watch. It's
Yeah.
just like watching an all-star team, all-star game.
I have so much to say later on when we get to our Nets segment. So
Hey,
bridging to there, should we talk about the Nets or should we talk about players that could be moved at deadline? You want to
uh,
go with the deadline
yeah,
moves?
we'll go deadline and
Okay.
we'll finish off the
Well,
Nets.
let's
It
we'll
kind
make
kind of
this
connects
yeah we'll
anyway.
make this quick. Yeah. So PJ Tucker recently just said that Woj repeated or reported that they had decided to not play together or not play to due to like I can't think
Dude,
properly
contract or
due to the Rockets sucking. I'm just say that.
he's
But
basically having a Andre Drummond kind
yeah,
of
the
promise. Yeah.
I saw that reports of him. People had four teams that called him were the Nets, the Bucks, the Heat, and the Lakers. Do you think he's getting traded or he's getting bought out? Just make this quick. Just without getting
I don't
into
think his contract is that bad, so if nobody takes him, I think he'll get bought out easily. Because his contract is not crazy as Blake Griffin's contract. If that contract can get bought out, I'm pretty sure PJ
yeah,
Tucker will be able to be bought out. Because
yeah.
I don't, if the other team's already expecting him to leave, and I don't think they're gonna give up too much for them to get him.
I'm gonna tell you something. The Nets could still trade Spencer Dinwiddie. That's all I gotta say.
Ooh.
That'd be crazy, huh? If they trade for PJ
If
Tucker.
if if they really want to win this year, they might just pull it.
That'll be wild. Okay. So yeah, I hope he just gets bought out, but
Man,
I'm worried because if he gets bought out,
he's still
every
gonna
team
go
is
there.
yeah, so it's like fucking hell. Okay.
So might as
Next
well give up a player for next year. So.
my next guy who is also facing the same way as PJ Tucker is Andre Drummond. Where do you think he's going or what's he gonna
Lakers, we need him.
yeah. But I don't think we can
I
trade
don't
for him.
think so. We can't.
He's getting bought out and a very reputable reporter, Chris Haynes, his opinion thinks that he would join the Nets if he gets bought out. So, so it's
What
crazy.
what possibility is Adam Silver stepping in and vetoing whatever's gonna happen?
I don't think there's a way. I think because it's all
But
legal.
especially it's a like a free agent
Mm.
contract too after they get bought out. So
It's legal. It's like I think with like the trading, you can veto. He could have vetoed the trade. The reason why Chris Paul got vetoed is because the NBA was
Has to
overseeing.
approve it. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh,
were
because the
overseeing the
team.
Hornets' operations,
Yeah.
so they legally could veto it.
Damn.
This they can. So, all right, yeah. So Drummond also might be going to the Nets. Next guy who potentially also could be going to the Nets, George Hill. Where do you think he's going?
The Nets.
Not gonna
The
lie,
Nets.
I would love to see him back on the Bucks if they
Bucks.
can find a way. Or he would have been so nice with the Pelicans, but
He's
I
too
think he's a
old.
trade. Yeah, he's a tradable piece though. I think people his contract is good enough to I think somebody's like, well, we can fit him in a cap of a team.
Uh-huh.
So it's like we would try our best to trade him, or he's staying with us for the year.
Any chance that any of the free agents we already mentioned can go to the Spurs since they're gonna lose or not? They're trying to get out of Marcus Aldridge contract.
Like trade for Lamarcus Aldridge?
No, like free agent buyout market. Do you think anybody would actually go there? Because they're playing well as a team. Do you think anybody would want you to go there, or do they think,
There might be one or two guys, but like none of the big name guys.
yeah,
Why do you
because
want the
that's
Spurs to succeed so bad?
just so the Nets don't get all the players.
That's true. Okay. All right.
That's just trying to level out the playing field here.
All right. So another big rumor that's going around. This will probably be our last player before we talk about the Nets. Is Victor Oladipo? Is he staying on the Rockets or is he getting traded?
He's leaving. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was already indicated when they moved up Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah. I think even if he stays on the Rockets, they're going to be fine with him walking away because he wants to be on the Miami Heat for some odd reason.
Hmm. Oh,
Would you trade all of our guards on the
okay.
Lakers for Vic? I wouldn't. I'm not a fan of
No,
Victor Oladipo.
I don't think I like Schroeder for our team more than Oladipo.
Yeah,
So I don't think we need him, but somebody
like
will. The
our
Brooklyn Nets will need him.
traded for Dinwiddie. Like, yeah, I wouldn't trade him either because our record could be completely different if KCP and Wesley Matthews could actually shoot a ball into the ocean
Yeah,
once or twice more in a game. But
we just need to be healthy. That's a
yeah,
big, big,
yeah,
big if.
yeah. I don't want to talk
But
about the Lakers. I don't want to talk about. I want to talk about my favorite team, the Brooklyn Nets.
I need to change this hat to a Brooklyn Nets hat.
Yeah.
I need to change that hat.
let's 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 go to the elephant in the room. The Brooklyn, the 2021. No, I'm just kidding. The Brooklyn Nets. Blake Griffin, first of all. Um, how do you see him fitting? Will he dunk a ball this season?
He'll dunk the first touch he'll get.
All right, let's make the spicier. Will he poster somebody?
Maybe on alley oop if he
Is
doesn't have
Ken
to move that much.
is Kendrick Perkins and Mozgov still playing in the league?
Pau Gasol.
Yeah. So August. Oh shit. Totally forgot about that. But what kind of role do you see Blake Griffin playing in this Brooklyn Nets team?
Uh, he'll be like pick and pop guy. Like I can already see him like either James Harden and Kyrie running like a double screen with like DeAndre Jordan rolling to the rim and then Blake popping out for a 3-point shot because he is a decent shooter. So I feel like that's the play that they're gonna run all day long. Just like one of their three superstars running a two screen game all day long, and that's it. And we didn't even mention that they have a shooter. So I don't know what's gonna happen.
You didn't mention that they had Bruce Brown and Nick Claxton too.
Oh my
Put some
god.
respect on those guys.
I don't
And
even know
Landry
what
Shamet.
I don't even know what lineup they have a weakness on besides defense, but with
Yeah.
all those I
I
don't
have
know,
I
man.
have they're gonna make Blake Griffin be like that Draymond Green role where like he just screens and then dives to the rim every time. And
But
he
at the
just gets the
same time
option to just kick it
but
out to whoever.
but at the same time he could shoot though. So if you leave him open, he'll make that shot.
Yeah.
and
Well,
he's a
I would rather live with him making that shot than Harden, Kyrie, and Durant, even Joe Harris hitting a shot.
but still the percentage
Yeah,
just goes up. He's
yeah.
already making like step back between the legs, dribble, step back, 3 point shots from Detroit by himself, and one more if it's a wide
Hey,
open jump shot.
but he isn't dunking though, Jay. That's what you don't understand. He's
Man,
not
dude,
dunking.
he hasn't been playing. He got fresh legs.
He hasn't been playing for like 3 weeks or a month.
Dude, a month, I think. Even when he was playing, he was like playing one, playing one, resting one. So he's just saving it up to win the championship this year.
I just
And if they get Drummond, it's over.
yeah. Kawhi has to leave the Clippers and join the Lakers. That's just as simple as it gets. He has to, mid season. That's the only way. And Steph Curry has to
Steph
join the
Curry,
Lakers.
leave PG by himself. That's fine.
Yeah. Ah, dude. So I had watched a like detailed breakdown of the Blake Griffin. Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer had posted it, and they were talking about how the Nets have literally versatility with any lineup they throw out there. Like they can run a small ball with Bruce Brown and Joe Harris and the three superstars. They can run traditional with Blake, DJ, or Claxton. They can run switch and be big also with Blake and Jeff Green. And they can run with spacing with Joe Harris. And if you want to throw Jeff Green, you want to throw Shamit, whoever. It's just like, dude, they literally have no lineup that's weak.
Just
It's
imagine
crazy,
if they
huh?
had just Spencer Dinwiddie healthy too. That would be
Yeah.
scary.
And
Oh,
with all those lineups, they can counter everything you throw at them offensively, and they can counter with everything you can throw at them defensively. And like they'll just say, and they're like winning against full healthy teams, and that's what freaking Bruce Brown playing the small ball five. Like what? Like they might actually do that just to like mess with people. And it's like I I I'm just like sitting. I just ponder and look out the window as I'm working from home, and I think, and I just like wonder is like what could possibly beat this Warriors? I mean, this Warriors team. So there, what could possibly beat this even more steroid Warriors team? A team that
eh,
is number one in offensive rating in history,
oh my
better than the
god, dude.
Warriors team, and it makes me wonder: can defense win championships? Does that saying go out the window with this team? And it might be. It might be that offense finally wins championships, and this Nets team proves it. They just need to try on defense. That's all they need to do. They don't even have to shut anyone down, and that's like
Hey,
the scary thing about it,
all they need to do is rebound. That's it.
dude.
That's all.
And it's like I love AD so much, but can is AD like is he really gonna be unstoppable against the Nets team? Like I don't think so.
We need to trade for Embiid. We need someone. Come
Yeah,
over.
I I remember when the Nets had or not the Nets. I keep getting the Nets. I keep confusing the Nets and the Warriors, but Kobe had a detailed episode of it was the Warriors against the Cavaliers. First year that KD had joined the
Mm,
the Warriors, and he was talking about how it took Kyrie and LeBron to score almost 40 each in those elimination games down 3-1 just to beat that the Warriors team that didn't have KD.
mm-hmm.
And so Kobe was saying how like LeBron and Kyrie has to play perfect basketball all the time and not make errors to
Yeah,
defeat a team like that. And I think that's the same thing that every team's going to have to do here too. They're going to have to not make errors or
and it still might not be enough.
and it still might not be enough. And that's what makes it scary. Like it reminds me of this like 2019 Warriors team where we were convinced that there was nobody that can beat that 2019 Warriors team, the one with like Boogie and all of them.
Mm-hmm,
And the only thing that could defeat them was misfortune.
mm-hmm.
And the misfortune that happened to that Warriors team was the worst of the worst.
Yeah,
Like if it took KD and Clay to tear their Achilles and their and his wait, KD tore his Achilles Clay tore his
Maybe
ACL
ACL. Yeah,
just for the Raptors to win in six.
yeah.
It's like just 6 games. It's crazy.
If they had
And
one of them, they probably would still won.
Freaking Kyrie can retire, like what Stephen A was saying. He can retire mid championship run, and they'll still win.
Wow.
I I love my Lakers and I love the NBA, but it's like I
Do
just
you
can't.
now? It doesn't sound
I
like it,
can't.
Kevin. Come
I
on,
can't
man.
fathom it, bro. I can't fathom beating them in a 7 game series.
No, maybe
Like
one.
like we were talking about like with the Clippers too, and and the Clippers last year, but it's like you did see like glaring weaknesses of the Clippers. Like they didn't have a traditional point guard, like or they didn't have an actual closer or somebody was really bad on defense, whether it was Lou or Trez. And like this Clippers team, I mean this Nets team is like, bro, the guys that we say are bad defenders, like Kyrie and Harden, are actually like swarming and communicating really well.
Yeah,
And it's like
and you
I
can
don't
see
know,
Even Kyrie was playing defense at All Star. So
it's kind of
now,
crazy. So I don't know. I'm just praying that Giannis is there's like that glimmer of hope of seeing Giannis, even though I'm pissed off at him for signing that 5 year max deal when he could have signed with the Lakers and they could have been an unstoppable force.
well, that's what they say
But
about LeBron. That's why he picked him first,
I know,
trying to
damn,
recruit him.
he's recruiting him 5 years from now.
It's like, go, come here and play with my son.
For real, in AD. Damn you, Giannis. Well, it wouldn't Giannis wouldn't have saved this year. There was nobody that was going to save this year because there wasn't a free agent
Yeah,
to have joined anyway. But yeah, the Nets team. Do we agree that how terrifying they are?
yeah. You think they're gonna sweep every single round in the East?
They don't play the Cavaliers. They can't play the Cavaliers and the Wizards, the two teams that have given them 2 losses each. It's the only that's the only two guys that they hope they don't face.
It's like
They're
it's
they're the Nuggets. They're the last year Nuggets.
it's like their kryptonite or something. It's like Cavaliers are like what Kyrie's kryptonite, and then
Yeah.
Westbrook is KD's kryptonite.
Then another one would be the Atlanta Hawks. That's James Harden's kryptonite. Atlanta and their strip clubs.
Alright.
All right. Last. This is gonna be the way we finish this podcast.
Lakers in 7.
No, I'm not gonna say that. Will Steph Curry be a Laker?
Oh.
Do you really want Ralph to be off this podcast in the next episode? Are we praying for it? Would you want to have Steph Curry? Would you rather have Steph? So he's going to be a Steph Curry. Steph Curry's going to be a free agent after next summer, not this coming summer, but after next summer. Would you rather have him, or you're just going to hope? Well, we can get Steph, and LeBron can retire, and we can get Giannis too. Would
I
you
love
would you shoot for Steph, or would you shoot for Dame? Ah,
Ooh,
Steph, 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 Steph.
damn. I'm gonna go with Dame because I don't think we have a chance to get Steph from the Warriors. He
That's
loves
true.
that team so much.
I feel like it's
So
equivalent. Like Dame loves Portland too,
yeah, he does too. He did say he wants to win a championship there,
but I think
but
you
he
can
also
get
too.
Dame. You can get Dame who doesn't have a championship to break
Yeah,
away from his original team.
because I think he wants to win so bad that maybe in a year or two from now, he just might move.
True.
Especially that he's been so much, like he's been through so much in Portland that every year it's the same thing, like first round, second round, like he has to do everything that he can just to win a game or two. But
Yeah,
I think he might be at that point where he needs to move if he wants to win.
dude, but it's low key kind of crazy seeing like Steph be pissed. That's what's kind of like wild to me. Like
I know.
he looks obvious like pissed off with the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what made me say earlier too why I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs is because when I saw that clip, I was
Yeah,
like, oh, that
and
kind of
then
adds
like
to it.
and I think like he might be sick of Draymond's antics, and he probably like low key he probably sees Clay and he loves Clay as much as possible, but he probably like accepts it. Like maybe it might not work out. We got our bag. We did what we could.
Yeah.
That would be the craziest downfall, like the Warriors' legacy.
The top of the mountain and then to the bottom, and you think they're gonna come back, and then
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was recently rewatching like all the smoke interview with Steph from like last year or something, and he was just talking about Draymond. Like he, it's not that I could tell like some that he tolerates him just because it's his teammate, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like if he wasn't his teammate, it would be like a different story.
Yeah, I feel like I see more admiration of Steph towards Clay and towards like Iggy, like out of
Yeah,
all people. But then his admiration for like Dre, you never really like see it, where you never like I've never really seen Steph like go out of his way to say like I love this guy so much, but like he
yeah,
goes out of his way to say Clay, I'm bringing this back to you, or Iggy, whatever. You know,
yeah.
it's crazy.
He- the only thing that I feel like I always hear them say, like the whole words, like, yeah, he just loves to win. Like he's just that type of player who will do anything and everything for the team to win. Like
Yeah,
that's the script that we hear a lot.
yeah. Have you?
Would
It'll
you
be
want
wild.
him in the Lakers?
Oh, I love. I'm a. I would say I'm a closet Warriors fan because I actually really love Steph and Clay, but
Oh
I
my
never
god.
wanted to accept like because of Ralph and just because it's the Lakers. But I really love Steph. Like no, I'm not gonna lie, he's like one of my favorite players. I just love the swagger and like the way he like. If you see like his All Star games, like the way that he just like seems like he just admires everybody in like
Hmm.
a jokey way, and like
He
I don't
just
know, like
yeah
look at
enjoys the
what
game.
yeah,
Yeah,
he just simply enjoys the game. Like he's never too high or never too low. Other than today, he was too low. But that's I love Steph. I think he deserves better. He changed the game, and he's the reason why I love basketball way more. You know, like Kobe could
yeah.
have easily retired, and I would have been like, man, there's like no one really to like root for. And I was like, I like rooting for Steph. He's a good player.
Well,
Yeah,
let's just have both Steph and Dame. It looks like it worked in the All
that
Star
would
game. So,
that would low key, yeah, low key. No, I'm
oh,
just kidding. I know.
I think that
But
would work in the small ball lineup in the future. That could
yeah,
work.
that could work. You just straight up over, just have three godly defenders behind them.
Yep,
Wouldn't
that's
even
all you
matter.
need.
Just yeah, crazy. Is there anything else you want to say in this pod, Jay, or should we just end it off of
Uh,
Steph creating rumors that Steph joined the Lakers just to piss off Ralph?
yep, that's it. He's coming. He's coming over
Here,
2 years from now.
you saw him in that yellow. You saw him in that gold
Yep,
on Sunday.
that's
You
what I
saw
was
him.
gonna say. It
You
looks
saw him
nice.
dabbing up LeBron all the time. Him and Giannis and Dame joining
They're
AD
all
in the
coming.
near futures. All of them.
Luca too.
Luca, damn, Luca, Paul George.
Oh no,
They were all wearing gold. It's time. Rudy
it
Gobert
looked
also.
great. Oh,
It did
well,
look
we need
great.
a center, so maybe.
Yeah, they look great. So that's what we're hoping for. And I think it's probably 99% is gonna happen. I'm gonna just say I'm gonna speak it to existence. Sorry, Ralph.
Okay, now we can all match.
Yeah, and he will. And this means he will never hop on this podcast after listening. Hopefully, that he listens to these last 10 minutes
No,
of the
you
episode.
should ask him now before we publish this episode.
Nah. We'll let him know. We'll hopefully when Steph does sign, we'll bring this back. We'll record this and screen cap it. Look at us talk about it. Look at us speak to
That was
existence.
perfect. We should interview him if that ever
Yeah,
happens.
I'm praying. That's all I gotta say. All right, thank you guys for appearing on this episode. Uh, Jay, any last things you want to say?
And that's it. Thanks for listening. Always, if you got to this point, congratulations. You listen to us
Yep.
ramble on and on and on.
And
Hope
have
it's not
technical
too annoying.
difficulties.
And to have
Yep.
technical difficulties for the first time wasn't expected, but we got through it.
Yep. All right. So this is our sign off. Thanks for warming the booth with us, guys. Have a good night. My name
Have
is
a good night.
Kevin.
My name is Jay, and you're up in the booth with Kevin and Jay.
and the Booth Warmers podcast.